is to not be emotionally attached to the outcome. That's not saying that you don't care. That's not saying that you should lower your expectations.
Welcome to the Empowered Parent Podcast with Renee. Being a teenager is hard. Being a parent of a teenager can be even harder. Each episode, we deliver tips, tools, tricks, and stories to help you feel empowered, confident, and energized as the parent of a teenager. Teenagers want to be happy. Sometimes they just need a little help along the way. Now, here's your host, Renee Sinning. Renee is a certified life, leadership, and success coach for teenagers and their parents. She's also a mom of 3 young adults and an experienced high school educator of 18 years. Renee is well-versed in everything teen. Now, without any further ado, here's Renee.
Hey everybody, it's Renee. Welcome to the Empowered Parent Podcast, episode 5. In this episode, I want to talk about a tip to get through holiday stress, a tip to get through disappointment. There's a lot of that going on now, but specifically and how to deal with disappointment with teenagers. Teenagers make decisions, choices that we don't like. They sometimes say things that are rude or disrespectful that we don't like, or they behave a certain way. And as a parent, because we want what's best for our teenager, it can get really disappointing, right? We can get really disappointed with them, and that is not a good feeling. So how do we avoid getting disappointed with the things that our teenagers do or say or the choices that they make? Here's a tip. It's not always easy, but the more you practice it, the easier it will become. And that is to not be emotionally attached to the outcome. That's not saying that you don't care. That's not saying that you should lower your expectations or give up on hopes or dreams. But when we are emotionally attached to the outcome, which is really easy to do with our teenagers because we want what's best for them, we can easily become hurt, sad, disappointed over something that we can't control, right? The bottom line is how a person reacts, how they engage, how they act in any situation. We don't have any control over that, but yet we get really emotionally attached to that. So for teenagers, that might look like you want them to go to a certain college and they don't want to go there, or they get accepted to a certain college and they don't want to go there, but it's where maybe it's your alma mater, right? Maybe you want them to go for a certain job or to try out for a sport that you know they love. Maybe it just has to do with how they're acting. You didn't raise them a certain way, but they're so rude and disrespectful, whatever that may be. It's very disappointing because that's not the kid they used to be, right? There's a lot of disappointment that goes in with raising teenagers. However, and I'm saying not lower your expectations, but don't be attached to the outcome. Recognize that with teens, it's a moment in time. You know, we have the Christmas season coming up. There's going to be a lot of gift giving. A lot of times parents put much effort and thought into getting the perfect gift because we want our kids to be happy and we enjoy doing that. So what happens if Christmas Day they open a present that you really were excited to give them and you don't get the response that you want? You might end up feeling like, oh, they don't care, they don't appreciate anything. Those are all kind of typical thoughts that parents have. Don't be attached to the outcome. Don't be emotionally attached to the outcome. So I want to encourage you to look at the outcome as information. Look at it as a feedback, right? No matter what's happening, rather than being attached to it, look at it as feedback. So if you really want your kid to apply or go to a certain college and they don't want to, but you're attached to it, well, that's about you. That's not even about them. So look at the outcome as feedback. If they're acting a certain way, is there a reason for that? Is it because something's going on in their life that I don't know about? Maybe. So maybe the initial gut reaction of you is going to be ticked off or angry or disappointed, but maybe there's more to it. Maybe if you could step back from that emotional attachment to whatever's going on and look at it as feedback and get that new perspective, then it'll make a little bit more sense, or you'll be able to not have your emotions be hijacked by somebody else. When we're attached to an outcome emotionally, we're giving our power to somebody else, where our energy is working against us rather than for us, because someone else is controlling how we feel and how we show up. This takes a practice in shifting your emotion. It also takes a bit of self-awareness, kind of a catch yourself in the moment type of thing. So something happens, maybe I'll go back to the Christmas example. You have put all this thought and effort into a present, you give it to your child, they open it and they're like, oh. Or it's like just not, oh, this is nice, and it's not really the reaction you wanted. That's just feedback that doesn't have anything to do with you. Maybe it really wasn't what they wanted, or maybe it was, and they just got a text from somebody, or something was just posted on social media, and they're, even if it's early, kids are on it 24/7. So maybe the response is not what you think it is, right? But you're attached to it emotionally, so then you get hurt or sad or whatever. I saw an interview one time, or I read about an interview one time about a baseball player that was asked how do they deal with disappointment after they have a bad game. And the response was something to the effect of, I go to work, I pitch the game, I go home, I eat dinner, I take a shower. And basically the message was, I'm doing the best I can and I can't control the outcome. Because in most things in life, that's what happens. We do the best we can, but we can't control the outcome. And so stepping back and letting go of that emotional attachment to it can really alleviate a lot of stress and disappointment that we typically have. How do we do this? That's the harder part, and you have to figure out what works for you. It's not a one size fits all. For some people, you're very verbal and you might need to write it out. You can journal everything that you're feeling if you're like ticked off and whatever. But then through the process of journaling, you're going to let go of some of that. Gain a new perspective. You might want to go for a jog or go for a run. You might want to go and just pick up the phone and talk to a friend, someone that's going to put you in a good mood. You want to draw, paint, whatever that is, to shift your emotion away from that disappointment. And the more you practice this, the more you'll be able to let go of it. So that is my tip for getting through holiday stress, for getting through any kind of expectations you have. A lot of times when family gets together, or you go on a vacation, you want it to be awesome and amazing, or you have this certain experience. Maybe you're at work and you had this big idea and your team is going to implement it, but it just doesn't come out the way you want it to. You can't control it. You do the best you can. Don't be emotionally attached to the outcome, and you're going to have a lot less disappointment. So it just takes time, it takes practice, it takes awareness, all that stuff. But the better you get at this, the easier it is to take back your emotional energy and take control of your own emotion. Don't give your emotional power to anybody else. Own it and take it back. And that's it. My name is Renee Sinning, and I am life leadership and success coach for teenagers and their parents. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Empowered Parent Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Be sure to head over to reneesinning.com to pick up some parenting freebies. And remember, teenagers want to be happy. Sometimes they just need a little help along the way.